Hello, and here's another introduction to a learning model I put together fairly recently, not intending to be quite so blingy and exciting as this first slide shows, but there, I think that's rather nice. This learning model is ERIC. It's about four things. I'm going to do a brief overview of what those four things are, and then I'll go into them more depth. So here you are, ERIC. I hope you find this useful. The first one is effort. It's about effort, how much effort goes into learning. It's nothing more simple than that, but it's far from simple. The second one, I will go into these in more depth in a bit. This is purely an overview. The second one is reward, ER, effort followed by reward. Reward meaning, what do you get back for what you put in? You put in the effort, what's your return? That too will be gone into in more depth. Immediacy, I tried to think of a different I word in the ERIC model for this, but by immediacy, what I mean is how quickly do you see a return for the effort you put in? And I'll be arguing that too many people would expect too much too soon. And the last one is conditioning. This is what education used to look like, and I would argue, frankly, it hasn't changed very much, and I think it ought to have done. These are rather old pictures. Crikey, having said that, it could be the 60s when I went to school. Anyway, and that's in America anyway, it doesn't really matter. But the conditioning, it's all about instruction-led, words of wisdom being instilled. I learn from you, I don't drive the process myself. That's what I'm going to go into. So those are the four aspects of ERIC: effort, reward, immediacy, and conditioning. Now I'm going to go into them in a bit more depth. So what do I mean by effort? Well, here are some guys putting in a lot of effort. I actually think that too little effort typically is put into learning things, into development. And I will make the distinction. Learning something could be about something transactional. It could be about a specific effort, if you like, that word again. It could be about a specific attempt to learn something. Development is broader. Development is over a complete lifetime. So the two are different. Learning is the vehicle for development. Development is the process that involves learning many things. Anyway, going back to effort. If we put more effort in, I think we'd learn deeper, we'd learn better, and we'd embed our learning and improve our capabilities as a result. Let's not forget that learning and development is all about improving performance, our own, and then as an extension, the organizations, the units in which we work. So the more capable and better we become at what we do, the more useful we are because we perform better. Those are connections. The problem I have with effort is, and I take a 40-year perspective on this, now I'm approaching my 40th year of working in learning development, I feel that too few people put enough effort in. If we put more effort in, if we put more time aside, if we avoided the distractions that very often happen when we're trying to learn something, or if we allow just too little emphasis on learning, we won't learn deeply enough. I'll give you an example. I've over decades been annoyed by people who say things, oh yeah, I use the Belbin team model. So, okay, how many of those can you remember? And they look at me like, why have you just hit me in the face? And then they might rattle off 3 or at best 4 from the 8 or 9, whichever version you tend to be thinking of. Or people to say, oh yeah, Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of teams. I learned that. Can you name them? No, they can't. Have they learned it? No, they haven't. So what I'm trying to get at here is sometimes the effort it takes to learn something well, to learn something properly, is too much of an effort for too many people. And so what I'd like to see is people valuing their learning sufficiently to put the effort in that is required to truly learn something, not just remember it for a few weeks. So we go on to reward. The obvious reward is financial, and the absence of a financial reward is for too many people a disincentive to learn anything. In other words, what's in it for me? If I'm not going to get some financial, which is the only way I measure reward, return for this, why should I bother? No one else is asking me to do it. I'm pretty much doing it for myself. I'm already busy. My boss doesn't need me to do this. He wants me to do other things. So the reward has got to be evident. For me, the reward, and this might not be enough for a lot of people, should be about self-esteem. It should be about self-awareness. It should be about improving personal capability. It should be about all those, some people call them airy-fairy things, I certainly don't, that say this is what you get back. If you put the effort in to learn something thoroughly, you will become a more capable person. That should be reward enough in itself. And that should be the means by which, in a proper society, people get progression. What more sensible basis is there to promote people, for instance, than the fact they become better at what they do? How do you become better at what you do? You learn things, you develop, for goodness sake. People just don't make this connection sufficiently strongly. So put the effort in, learn something, get the reward. The reward ultimately should be, in a fair society, progression. I don't know, recognition, all those things that so many people seem to want. Money as well. What does that come from? It comes from getting better at what you do. So the reward is there. So now we come down to, immediacy. That's interesting, isn't it? So I'm not going back. Here we are. There, I'll go back. That's strange. Never mind. These things are always a bit imperfect, but it's the message that matters most. So we've got effort, we've got reward, we've got now immediacy. Too many people, I've said this too many times, expect everything instantly. If I'm going to put this sometimes begrudging effort into learning something, why should I have to wait to see some return on it? Well, I want to see it now. I want exactly what I need for my own development. I want it packaged just for me. I don't want it to take too much time or effort, and I want to see the return straight away. Doesn't happen. Wake up, smell coffee, whatever it is that causes you to get real about this. Very often, the best learning, the most useful learning, takes a long while to gain, to master, to actually show some return. And if you're not prepared to wait as long as it takes, well, don't bother putting the effort in, because you'll just have to amble along and get what rewards from life that it throws at you. I actually think that putting the effort in, getting the reward, and knowing that reward could take quite a bit of time is a worthwhile journey. So sometimes when we're doing something consciously, deliberately to enhance our capability to grow, to develop, we should know, I'm not going to see a return on this week, next week, maybe. Are you ready for this? Next year or the year after. Sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes what we learn doesn't give us something back for quite a while. And that's something I think we need to accept and to feel is all part and parcel of truly managing your own learning, that you don't see an immediate response. The problem with not seeing an immediate response is a big turnoff for a lot of people. Well, too bad. So now I go on to conditioning. Hey, I was nearly there before. By conditioning, I mean right from school, and I dare to say into the workplace, we are conditioned to feel that learning and development, certainly training, is about receiving words of wisdom from an instructor figure, a teacher figure. And that has its value. I'm not decrying it. There are many things that we need to learn in that way, but not everything and not most things. Most of what we learn is accidental, it's transactional, it's unseen, it's incremental, it's iterative. I like some of these words. In other words, these are things that happen to us in our real worlds that we need to be conscious of, and that way we'll learn better, faster, and more efficiently. So breaking out of that conditioning, breaking out of that dependency that means I need someone to tell me things, is a key thing. Despite the maturity that so many people show in so many things in the workplace, I feel an immaturity very often is that unwillingness to accept responsibility for our own learning and development. That unwillingness to break free of the dependency, which is a safe, comfortable place, isn't it? Because we can blame someone else for not learning something. Oh, well, I wasn't able to do that because they didn't teach it to me well enough. Well, sorry, but that's ultimately your own fault. Were you engaged enough? Were you in the right place? Was it right for you? Did you make the efforts to learn anything from it? And was that the right means anyway? Could you not have found some better means than an instructor-led, nice, comfortable place, blame someone else type of approach? So where I'm getting to here is our conditioning that starts from at least the school place, if not from parenthood. Well, you know, hey, here we go. We're getting Freudian now. The conditioning we've had from a very early age is a hard thing to break free of. And unless we do, the effort we make, the rewards we gain, and the time it takes for the value to come from what we do in terms of driving our learning, if we don't break free of the conditioning, we will be confining ourselves to that learning and that development that we feel fits the model we become accustomed to. And the sooner we break out of that appropriately and drive our own learning and development genuinely by taking responsibility for that, the sooner we can do that, the better. So that's where I've got to. Effort, reward, immediacy, there it is, wrong way. And now we get to, so what now? So having hopefully put up with 10 minutes and 24 seconds so far of me blathering on about this, what are you going to do about it? Anyone who's listening to this should not just, in my opinion, be nodding or have turned it off by now, but now should do something about it. So are you going to make more effort? Are you going to put aside more dedicated time to learn something specifically? Truly learn it, not just remember it for a few weeks, but truly embed it so it becomes part of your behavior. Are you going to accept that the rewards that come from that learning, excuse my voice, may take more time than most people would want to see? Are you prepared to feel that you can break free of your conditioning, that there is a whole wealth of learning and development activity you can drive for yourself that's interesting, that's tailored to your own needs, not just being an averaged member of a group of people? And if you can break free of that conditioning, you can drive what is true for you, what is genuinely your own personal, unique and contextual learning. So there's a lot in this. So I tend to ramble on about putting things into models. Eric, effort, reward, immediacy, and conditioning. But there's lots of things in there, and they're not just about those issues alone. They're about personality, they're about organizational context. And of course, we're talking about learning, meaning anything. Learning and the approach to learning could be one-to-one coaching, it could be group-based stuff, it could be just an awareness of what goes on around you. So see learning in the whole, see learning as a constant process from which we don't, in my view, and it's a 40-year view now, draw sufficient value. Basically, do it for yourself and you'll get a lot more from it. And I hope some aspects of the Eric model help you along the way. So that's all for now. Thank you, if you've got this far, for bearing with me and putting up with my rambling thoughts on a matter I take very seriously.